Hi, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of my 12 favorite Diana Ross albums, the 12 most important Diana Ross albums. And today we are talking about The Wiz. We are going to ease on down that rocky road because The Wiz is a slightly controversial project for Diana Ross because Diana Ross dearly wanted to be part of this project when she heard that it was going to be a collaboration with Motown, but at the same time, she was considered too old for the part. And of course, she was, because the role of Dorothy is the role of a 16-year-old. Now, neither Stephanie Mills, who created the role on Broadway, and how did she create the role? This is a groundbreaking Broadway show, and Stephanie Mills, who I absolutely revere, adore, and admire, was the most perfect Dorothy you could imagine. But she was not 16, she was a little bit older, and so was the first Dorothy, Judy Garland, in The Wizard of Oz, because this is a version, an adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, and actually Judy Garland was not the original part. They wanted Shirley Temple for the part, and she was in another studio, so they chose reluctantly Judy Garland, and look what it did. You know, she's forever associated with the role of Dorothy. So when Diana Ross, who begged and begged and begged everybody in the production in order to be in the movie, and finally it was accepted, because you can't refuse anything for Diana Ross. They just kind of changed the role and turned her into a 32-year-old school teacher, which then became more credible. And Diana Ross looks like a 32-year-old. She was a little bit older, but she really looks very young. And the very funny story is that when Berry Gordy was complaining that, Diana Ross was on his back constantly about being in the role, somebody said to Berry Gordy, just tell her she's only got one outfit in the whole movie and she'll quit. But she didn't, and this is what resulted in this movie. Now, what's fantastic about this album, which I absolutely adore, is that Diana Ross got to be produced and directed on the album and on the soundtrack by none other than Quincy Jones. And Quincy Jones is a genius producer, and we know what album he's produced, the greatest album of this century, which is Thriller. Well, the greatest to me. And this production was no joke. This is 300 musicians, over 300 musicians. Just to give you an idea, 50 violins. I didn't even know there were 50 violins in an orchestra, 15 violas, and 15 cellos, 4 harps. 4 harps. I mean, just one harp is humongous, but there are four. 25 trumpets, 12 trombones, and one harmonica. So a huge chorus of singers and children, and they were directed by Patty Austin. So this is big business. I mean, even for Quincy Jones, he never had such a huge orchestra to work with. Now, he asked Diana Ross to sing 2 octaves higher than what she sings. So it's pretty high, but she managed to do that. Now, he wanted to do that to give her this kind of very young voice and give her fragility. And this is how he imagined and envisioned all of the music on this album. Now, the music on the album is extraordinary. This is a double album. The album came out in 1978, but the recording was done in 1977, recorded over several months. And Diana Ross works with an amazing cast of artists, some of which were in the original version of The Wiz, the Broadway version. Now, of course, Michael Jackson, who was on the verge of becoming this universal star. He was working on Off the Wall at the time. And Nipsey Russell, who plays the Tin Man, Ted Ross, who I absolutely adore, no relation, who is the Lion, and Lena Horne. I mean, can you imagine Lena Horne, the goddess of Hollywood, of music, one of my idols. I tell you about all my idols, Barbara, Diana, Liza, Cher, for the contemporary artists, the ones that were of my time, and the two idols that I absolutely admire are Lena Horne and Eartha Kitt. Mabel King, who was the Wicked Witch, who I adore. I sing "Don't Nobody Bring Me No Bad News" on stage. It's one of the songs that I sing from The Wiz. And what else do I sing? And I sing also "You Can't Win" by Michael Jackson, and Richard Pryor, who is The Wiz. Now, Diana Ross has 8 songs, 8 solos. Although Ease on Down, she sings it 3 times, and it's a duet with Michael, and then sometimes with the other artists. Now, Can I Go On is the first song that you hear her sing. It's when she's still in New York City. The whole play is based in New York. It's a very short song, barely 2 minutes, and it's written by Quincy Jones and Ashford and Simpson. They wrote 4 songs with Luther Vandross that they added from the original Charly Smalls music and lyrics, the book that was by Charly Smalls for the incredible Broadway show. This is where you hear how Diana Ross is unhappy in her life as a young woman who still lives with her mother, and who is a kindergarten teacher, and who's helping the elderly, cooking, cleaning, taking care of everybody, and is searching for a meaning in her life. Then she arrives in Oz, and she wants to go back home because that's the theme. It is the Wizard of Oz. So soon as I get home, beautifully, beautifully, beautifully sung, and you hear all of the delicate notes that Diana Ross has, and she is singing like a very young person. Her voice is very high, and all of her worries, all of her insecurities, all of these things you can hear on this album, which is not the Diana Ross that we know, because Diana Ross is not an insecure person, but perhaps she is, and the doubts that she has and that she has had in her career, all of this she puts into this voice and into these songs. Then she meets up with Michael Jackson, and they sing Ease on Down the Road, which was came out as a single but was not a hit. But they have chemistry together. They sing it so beautifully. Michael Jackson is just, he's a genius. And singing with Diana Ross, his idol. A very sad story is that Michael Jackson had said that he was so thankful for the heavy makeup that he had as the Scarecrow. This is why I put some of my wheat that I picked in my garden a couple of days ago, because he had acne at the time. And it's so sad because he was such a handsome young man, but insecure, and so all this makeup that he had on, and he even has like a leather nose, well, that kind of helped him in the movie. Nevertheless, he was brilliant, and he was just about to break through in the most unbelievable way. No one could have imagined what kind of a star he was going to become, except maybe Diana Ross, who always knew he was going to be famous. Then Diana Ross, there are all the songs, Nipsey Russell, who sings Slide Some Oil to Me. If you don't have STP, Crisco will do just fine. That's what I love about Broadway, because you can read between the lines and you can understand some things, but it's just fantastic. Diana Ross sings Be a Lion to Ted Ross, the lion, the mean old lion, who's so sweet, and his hair is so cute. His hair is done up like Shirley Temple. He's got, those little curls and a little bow. He's so adorable that, he's just irresistible in the movie. And when Diana Ross sings "Be a Lion" and pushes you to, you know, you're a lion in your own way, and she's telling him not to be afraid. It's just absolutely incredible. Is This What Feeling Gets? Also a very song about introspection. Now, this song is not in the movie, and it's again written by Ashford and Simpson and Quincy Jones, but it is thankfully in this album, so you can hear Diana Ross sing this beautiful, beautiful ballad. It's just absolutely magnificent. And then the big production number, A Brand New Day. Can you feel a brand new day? Now, this is where all of these workers, which are in actuality slaves, take off their unbelievably heavy costumes, and their dancers' magnificent bodies, and they, are get rid of all this heavy um, uh, uh, skin that they have, and then they are free and they are no longer slaves. And Diana Ross is dancing and singing with her voice in this factory, and it is just absolutely extraordinary. The movie was a flop, and Sidney Lumet, who is, a famous director, but I think that just the wrong director for a musical, and he was not able to capture what New York City, and how to transpose Oz into this city. And the movie, when you watch it today, is very slow. Now, of course, this is a movie from the end of the 70s, and post-production was not what it is today. If it had been done today, it would have been magnificent. Today it's kind of campy and maybe even a little cheap, even though it was not a cheap movie. $30 million, and it brought back 2 million. So it was a huge a failure. But the album did well. It went gold, and it sold 500,000 copies in the United States and over 1 million worldwide. Nevertheless, at the time, they did a lot of these movies like Tron, Xanadu, and these movies just don't look good today. They age so much. And The Wiz is the one that aged the least, because the subject and the theme of the movie are still very important and very political. And it's The Wizard of Oz, so it's timeless. After A Brand New Day, Diana Ross sings Believe in Yourself, Believe in Yourself as I Believe in You. And then that is the song that is sung by Lena Horne, Glinda the Good Witch in a stunning dress. Now, some of the costumes are done by Theone Aldridge, and she's the one who did the costumes for Dreamgirls. Now, God, I would have loved for her to do something for Diana Ross, but Diana Ross has the most simple outfit. She just has a little white blouse, slightly pink, and then a skirt, and the silver slippers, and right here, and the heart that the Tin Man wants to have. So when you have the Emerald City sequence where they sing "You've Got to Be Seen in Green," and then red is the new color, and then the Wiz says, while you were wearing pink, red to me was old, the ultimate yellow brick is gold. And this is an amazing musical number. Diana Ross doesn't sing on it, but it's a chorus, and it's just so beautiful to hear, and it's really part of the album. And you could just imagine if Diana Ross had had some kind of fashion sequence like in Mahogany. I would have loved for them to, have her change costumes, even though she's Dorothy. But that's not, I wasn't the director. If I had been the artistic director, she would have had a lot of costume changes. After that, last song by Lena Horne, Believe in Yourself. It's Home, and the song sung by Diana Ross. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. Again, I always make references to some of her songs. It's a bit like It's My House, but she sings it with such passion. Her voice is so extraordinary, so high. She is possessed. Now, in the movie, because this is a part of the movie where you just see her face, and she has a bit of sweat on her brow, and you see her vein. Diana Ross has a vein on her forehead, and as some of the critics said, she's a little wild, a little crazy. But again, this is the director who just chose to film her that way. But the passion is there, the voice is there. And if you see Diana Ross sing Home in her stage performances, and in the 1982 television special where she's live, and it's Quincy Jones who comes and directs the orchestra, she is phenomenal. And it is a song for her, although sung by Stephanie Mills, it is also magnificent, the two versions. Stephanie Mills made an album called Home, and she re-sung the song in a more modern way, and she's exquisite. But this is in the movie version, Diana Ross just is unsurpassed forever. So this is why I adore this album, with the 8 Diana Ross songs on a double album. And I hope you give it a listen once again, or once if it's your first time. And I will be seeing you very soon for another Diana Ross album. See you next Sunday.